Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this one, I'll be showing you the procedure to changing out your timing belt on your first generation Cruze. This procedure is also going to be the same for the Chevy Sonic since they share the same engine. So if your car is due for a timing belt, this video is going to help you out to show you exactly what to do. So let's get started. Okay, so the first step is we're going to need to remove this air box. So we're going to go ahead and loosen this clamp here. You could either use a flathead or a 7mm socket. Okay, after that we're going to disconnect the connector for the mass airflow sensor. So there's a yellow tab under. We're going to pry outwards with our thumbs. And then you could press on the yellow tab and pull. Okay, after that there's an air hose on the attached to the air box. We're going to pull it out under here. Okay, now you could remove the whole air box. Like so. We're going to set it aside. Okay, the next step is we're going to remove this upper timing cover. So there's two E10 bolts, one on each side. So we'll go ahead and take those out. Okay, we're gonna need a jack, and then we're gonna put some just some rags on top, because we're gonna need to jack up the engine from the oil pan, and this is gonna help it not to damage it. And then I'll show you what we're gonna do next. Okay, so we're gonna jack where the oil pan is. Okay, so once you have some tension on it, we're gonna go back up and take off the engine mount. Okay, so there's 6 bolts for the engine mount, and they're all 15mm. So this is a nut. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now you could go ahead and remove the engine mount. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and take off the serpentine belt. The tensioner bolt is going to be down there. I know it's hard to see, but I'll zoom you guys in. This guy right here, right under the water pump pulley. So this one's a 19. Okay, once you're in, you're going to go counterclockwise to loosen it. Okay, now we can take off the belt. Okay, we're going to remove what's left of the engine mount to give us more working space. So there's 3 15mm bolts, 1, 2, and then one under here. So we're going to go ahead and take those off. Okay, the next step is we're going to take off the wheel, and then we're going to go ahead and take off the inner fender. So for the Cruze, these are 19. Okay, so we're going to need to remove the inner fender. So we're going to start by removing the tabs, the plastic tabs. and then there's 2 more up here. Okay, now there's 3 more T15 bolts to take out. It's on the side of the inner fender here. So there's one more tab that we have to remove. It's this one here. Okay, and lastly there's 2 more T15 bolts that we have to remove. Okay, now the whole inner fender could come out now. Okay, the next step is we're gonna need to remove the tensioner and the tensioner pulley. This is a E14, so we're gonna get it from the wheel well, and you'll need an extension for it. Okay, there you go, it's out. The bolt stays on, you could just pull it out. Okay, the next step is we're going to go ahead and remove the crank pulley. The bolt that's holding it is an E18. You're going to need that with an impact gun. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put the bolt back in, but without the washer. So like that, we're going to make sure the timing marks align before we start removing anything. Okay, the next step is we're going to remove this lower timing cover. It's held on by 4 E10 bolts. So we're going to get 2 from the bottom, and then we're going to go back in the engine bay and get the 2 others from the top. Okay, now we're going to get the 2 ones up here. Okay, now the lower timing cover can come out now. Okay, we're going to go ahead now and take off this the timing cover in the middle here. So there's no bolts, it's only clipped on. Okay, it's kind of hard to get you a shot of this, but to remove the cover in the middle, there's a tab on the side. I'm gonna use a pick to try to pry it out. Okay, and now for the tab on the left here, I'm gonna try to pry it out. Okay, just to show you guys what I was doing to take off this cover. For the left side is just a tab like this. So you want to go in with your pick and try to pry it outwards like this so it can unclip. And for the right side, you're gonna have to find a tiny hole with your pick and then try to pry it from here like this. As you can see, I tried many times with the pick, so it kind of damaged the plastic here. As long as it doesn't break. And after that, you should be able to take it out. Okay, so before we remove the timing belt, we're gonna need to line up our timing marks. So for the crankshaft sprocket, we're gonna line up this pink mark on this arrow right here. Right there. So this is going to ensure that we're cylinder 1 top dead center of the combustion stroke. And then at the same time, for the camshaft sprocket, we want this mark right here to be around here, and with the green dot facing up. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start turning the crank. So get yourself a long extension with your E18 socket at the end, and we're going to start turning till the pink mark lines up with the arrow on the block. Now as you turn, you're going to feel some resistance. That's just because one of the cylinders is coming up for the compression stroke. So that's where the resistance is coming from. So just keep turning. Okay. Now our pink mark is lined up with the arrow. But as you can see on top, our white mark is all the way on this side. We need it to be on this side here. So what we have to do is we're going to turn the crank sprocket one more turn, and all our marks is going to align then. Okay, there you go. Now that the pink mark is aligned with the arrow here, and on top the white mark is facing this mark right here. Now we know that the cylinder 1 is in top dead center of the combustion stroke. Okay, now you might be thinking these two marks should align, but one is slightly above the other, the left side one, and that's completely normal. You want just the left side one to be just above this one. Oh, it's going to do it automatically, so you don't have to worry about it. As long as the pink mark is lined up on the crank sprocket with the arrow on the block, you're good. But so don't be concerned about these two not lining up perfectly. That's how it's supposed to be. And then to be sure that we won't misalign it when we put the new belt, we're gonna use a paint marker and mark the sprocket here, and then mark a mark here, as well as this one, so we know when we put it back, we'll have everything aligned perfectly. Okay, just to be sure, we're gonna put a mark on the sprocket here. Then we're gonna draw the mark on the plastic timing cover here. They already mark it for you from the factory, but if this is going to help you out to line it up perfectly, use this. Just do some extra marks, take some extra precautions. And then for the left side sprocket, put a mark here where the original green mark is, and draw it all the way up here. Okay, so your marks should look like this. A white mark on the sprocket, and then a white mark on the plastic timing cover. And the same for this one. Just to give you an extra hand to line it up perfectly. So this is the tool you're going to need to lock the camshafts and the flywheel. So this is a toolkit by 8 Mile Lake. I'll put a link for where you can purchase it in the description below. It's from Amazon. So this is what the kit comes with, but we're not going to use everything in this kit. So these are to lock the camshafts. This is to lock the flywheel. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put our tools to lock the camshafts. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and grab this tool to lock the flywheel. Okay, so to lock the flywheel, we're going to need to take off one bolt. It's located on the transmission. So the bolt is that one right there. It's between the engine mount and the catalytic converter. It's a 15 millimeter. We're gonna go ahead and get it from underneath. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and insert the tool. It's gonna go like this, with this piece going in between the oil pan and the transmission. Okay, now you can start tightening the bolt. Okay, before you go ahead and snug up this bolt, make sure the pink mark on the crankshaft sprocket didn't move. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and remove the timing belt. So this is your tensioner pulley here on the left side, and right under it there's a hole so you could fit a 6 millimeter Allen. Okay, once your Allen key is in, we're going to turn clockwise like this, and then you're going to see the timing belt lose some tension. So once it loses tension, we're going to pull it out. So here we go. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and remove both the tensioner pulley and the idler pulley down here. They're both T50 bits, so we're going to go ahead and remove that. If you're not replacing them, you could just go ahead and put on your new belt. But if you are, we're going to go ahead and replace both the idler and the tensioner pulley. Okay, and if you are changing both the tensioner pulley and idler pulley, you're going to need 2 new bolts for these, because these are aluminum bolts and they stretch. So make sure you have them on hand. You bought them beforehand. If not, just leave them as is, because you're gonna need 2 new bolts for these, so be careful. Okay, so this is the kit that I'm replacing it with. I suggest you guys go OEM so you make sure there's no fitment issues. So I went with the AC Delco one, but this kit isn't complete since they don't give me all the necessary bolts. They only give me tensioner pulley, the idler pulley, 1 replacement bolt, but yet they give me 2 pulleys that I need to replace both bolts on, and of course the timing belt, the new timing belt. So you're gonna need to go out of your way to get another pulley like this. I'll leave all the part numbers in the description below. So one like this, and then of course 1 new crank bolt, and I'll put all the part numbers in the description so you guys could get them. But they did end up in the kit. There is a there's a water pump. I don't know why they would give me a water pump. I guess you're supposed to replace it during the timing belt job, or they probably know it's gonna leak in the future, so that's why they give you one. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and install the tensioner and the idler pulley with the new bolts. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and put the tensioner pulley right now. Okay, so the orientation is this is facing the engine, so it's gonna go like this, and the small pin that's sticking out here, it's gonna go on the left side like this, and then you want the hole for the Allen key facing down. So here we go. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and install the idler pulley. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and start putting the new timing belt. So we're going to start from the top here. Okay, now for the crankshaft sprocket, you want to pull on this side to give yourself as much slack as you can towards the tensioner. Make sure you're sitting above the idler pulley. Okay, to make this easier, we're going to use a 6mm Allen bit with a ratchet to give us more leverage when turning the tensioner pulley. So here you go. Okay, now that it's in, usually the bottom's going to stick out a bit, so we're going to push the teeth back in, like that. Okay, now we could go ahead and remove the tools that was locking our camshafts. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and remove the tool that was locking the flywheel. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and turn the engine 2 full turns to make sure all our timing marks align. Okay, so back on top, the 2 sprockets line up perfectly with the white mark. So the white mark here and the white mark on the plastic, as well as this one. So now we know everything's timed perfectly and we're good to go. Okay, before we start reassembling everything, I'm going to go ahead and remove the old crank bolt. Okay, we're going to start reassembling everything. And we're going to start with the lower timing cover. Okay, now we're going to put the mid timing cover. Okay, now we're going to put back the tensioner pulley for the serpentine belt. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put the engine mount support here. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put the crank pulley. It can only go in one way. The notch that's here, it's going to line up with the pink mark. Then we're going to take our new bolt with our washer and insert it. Okay, now this one's torqued to around 72 foot-pounds. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put the serpentine belt. Okay, make sure your belt sits correctly all the way around. I'll put the belt orientation right here so you guys can know. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put back the inner fender. Okay, now we're going to put the wheel back on. Okay, now we're going to put back the upper timing cover. Okay, now we're going to put back the engine mount. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put back the airbox. Don't forget the air hose that was on the side here. And lastly, we could remove the jack that we put earlier on the oil pan.
Alright, thank you guys for watching. If you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll be happy to help you out. All the tools that I use and all the bolts and the parts are also going to be in the description below.